As we saw in Part 1 and Part 2, the Senkaku Islands were originally uninhabited islands that belonged to no country. People of Okinawa and other prefectures journeyed to the islands in search of seafood and marine birds. Out of a need to manage their activities, in 1895, the government of Japan officially incorporated the islands into Japanese territory and placed them under the jurisdiction of Okinawa Prefecture. Since the incorporation, the administrative districts which the Senkaku Islands belong to have changed several times. These include Tonoshiro Village, Ohama Magiri, Yaeyama County, and Yaeyama Village. However, the islands have always belonged to the administrative districts of the Yaeyama Islands. In 1896, Koga Tatsushiro began development on the Senkaku Islands. Koga, a seafood merchant from Fukuoka Prefecture, began gathering albatross feathers and producing dried bonito flakes after the Senkaku Islands had become part of Okinawa Prefecture. This photo is believed to be a group photo of migrant workers and a team led by Tsuneto Noritaka that conducted a phosphate ore survey in 1908. Around that time, the Senkaku Islands development culminated. There were 99 houses for 248 inhabitants on the islands. After Koga Tatsushiro died, his business was handed down to his son, Koga Zenji. After the 30-year free-of-charge leasing period for 4 islands of the Senkaku Islands terminated, Koga Zenji paid a new lease on the islands until they were sold to him in 1932. The Okinawa Branch Forestry Office conducted a land appraisal and calculated the price in order to sell the 4 islands. As explained above, the government of Japan lent the Senkaku Islands to private citizens, assigned addresses, and otherwise exercised administrative authority, thus exerting valid control over the islands for about 75 years after the 1895 incorporation, during which time Japan received no objection from any other state. However, in the 1970s, the Chinese government suddenly began to make its own assertion of territorial sovereignty over the Senkaku Islands. The Chinese government claims that at the end of the First Sino-Japanese War that was fought in 1894 and 1895, Japan secretly included the Senkaku Islands into its territory and, through the unequal Treaty of Shimonoseki, Japan forced Qing to cede to it the island of Taiwan, together with all islands appertaining or belonging to it, including the Senkaku Islands. However, the Senkaku Islands had never been part of Chinese territory before their incorporation into Okinawa Prefecture in 1895. The cabinet decision on the incorporation of the islands was made before the end of the First Sino-Japanese War, and the decision was made after the Japanese government had carefully ascertained that the Senkaku Islands had not been under the control of the Qing dynasty or any other states. The Senkaku Islands were not among islands appertaining or belonging to Taiwan, ceded under the Treaty of Shimonoseki. There is also no basis for interpreting the treaty's negotiations as including the Senkaku Islands among what the treaty describes as Taiwan and islands appertaining or belonging to it. Furthermore, the Senkaku Islands continued to be consistently treated as part of Okinawa Prefecture after the First Sino-Japanese War. There is also evidence indicating that even China itself recognized the Senkaku Islands as part of Okinawa, not islands appertaining or belonging to Taiwan. For example, in 1920, the consul of the Republic of China in Nagasaki sent a letter expressing gratitude for the rescue of stranded Chinese fishermen. It notes that the rescued fishermen had drifted ashore on the Senkaku Islands in Yaeyama County, Okinawa Prefecture. Thus, the Republic of China recognized that the Senkaku Islands were part of Okinawa Prefecture. Therefore, the Senkaku Islands were not stolen or ceded as China claims. The Senkaku Islands were never among islands appertaining or belonging to Taiwan, and after the Senkaku Islands were incorporated into Japan, they have always been treated as part of Okinawa Prefecture. For a time after World War II, the United States exercised administrative authority over Okinawa Prefecture, including the Senkaku Islands. But during that time, the Senkaku Islands remained part of Okinawa under the US administration, thus allowing Japan to maintain territorial sovereignty over the islands. In 1972, control of Okinawa Prefecture was returned to the government of Japan. Thus, since the 1895 incorporation into Okinawa Prefecture, the Senkaku Islands have always remained under Japanese sovereignty.